Streets are saying that the Flames could be on the hunt for a young centerman. Is this rebuild done, or are they just adding to their stock?
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for joining me today. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So, we've probably all seen the news about the Flames apparently being open to trade for a young centerman. And what does this mean for them in terms of this current season and down the road? As well as, is Dylan Cozens a potential guy for the Flames to land? And of course, we're going to do a quick preview of tomorrow's game against the Seattle Kraken. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We are here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. Your Calgary Flames every day. Last night, it was reported by Frank Seravalli that the Flames are looking to add a young centerman. And my immediate reaction was, I know we've been talking about planning the parade and that this team is kind of a wagon, but can we halt the brakes a little bit? We don't need to be doing all of this. But I don't think that's the case. After that immediate, oh God, we have diverted from the plan, not even a full 2 weeks into the season. And that made me very nervous, but I was wrong. We talked all off season about how this organization lacks depth down the middle. And that is evidently clear. And it became even more clear when Cole Schwinn was claimed off of waivers. And, Kevin Rooney's hurt. He was back practicing today. But again, he's on a 1-year deal. Why not try to capitalize on low risk, medium to high reward situation here? There's draft capital you can use. You have a ton of cap space, and bring on the salary dumps. Bring them on. Like, we have talked a lot about how the Flames can be third teams in a trade. They can just kind of take on bad contracts. Doesn't necessarily mean like they're going to just stockpile bad players or anything like that, but they can be the middleman in these situations. But this is the opportunity for them to do it. I mean, there aren't too many contracts where I'm like, please do not bring that near me. We have enough. But I think that the Flames, like, realistically, they need to they aren't going to be bringing stars in right now through free agency. It doesn't even have to be stars. It can be, a top 6 center, a middle 6 center that they're looking for. You're going to have to bring them in on trade. And that's kind of just the move right now. That is how you're going to have to take advantage of this situation and really build your team to where you want it to be. The free agency rewards are going to come in a few years down the road. I think especially, obviously once the team gets better, but then once they see the upgraded arena and facilities that the Flames will be practicing at and have access to on a daily basis, I think that that's going to be, state-of-the-art stuff. So why wouldn't you want to be there and be playing for a good team? So is this worth parting with your prospects in draft capital? I really do think it depends on the situation. I think that it would have to be some sort of undeniably good deal as well as term on the contract. I don't think the dollar value really I don't want to say like, oh, it doesn't like it doesn't really matter, but I don't think that that's necessarily like the determining factor. Obviously, if it's like, I'm just thinking like Jeff Skinner and his $9 million contract, the Flames are not going to eat up half of their cap space with that necessarily. But, there are some guys who are around this age and that position that make $4 or $5 million. That's doable, I would say, more than, you know, $9 million. But when it comes to your draft capital, you do have to be smart about it because you don't want to make any sort of immediate decisions. And just because you think it's this immediate fix. And we know that the Flames aren't looking to do immediate fixing right now. This is a long term project. And Craig Conroy has made that abundantly clear. And I think it's evident that he is sticking with his plan. I don't think that there's necessarily a plan to buy because you're going to be playoff contenders. That's not the vision. While they say the playoffs are the goal, I think that's the goal for every team every year. But realistically, we know that this team is just trying to get better and are taking those first steps in getting better, which was trading all of your players that were pending UFAs. But coming up next, we're going to talk about Dylan Cozens, and I've seen his name floated around a little bit, and even from Sabres fans. So we'll have to see where that leads us coming up here next on Locked On Flames. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot at winning up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. You can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money on sports action. Just join over 10 million users and sign up today. Want to play Prize Picks along Drewski, Joe Budden, MMA champ Sean O'Malley? You can now find community plays under the promo tab of the app to view entries of some of the biggest names in the Prize Picks community. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. And just think of all of the fun you could have on Prize Picks. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. And real quickly here, I do want to take a second and talk to you guys about Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and thank you so much for making Locked On Flames part of your day. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We are here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. Your Calgary Flames every day. It is always so fun to see when a team, especially with a lot of cap space, with some money available, how quickly other teams are even more ready to fire sell some of their players for picks or whatever the case may be. And Buffalo, this has been an ongoing conversation since the start of the season uh, about Dylan Cozens in Buffalo. I listened to Locked On Buffalo Sabres this afternoon on lunch because I wanted more insight onto like what is going on with Dylan Cozens. They gave him a $7 million contract through 2030. That is a really year. Like why are people ready to just, what happened? Like where did things go wrong? And I thought that Joe did a great job um analyzing the shift and like when things kind of started to happen and go south for Dylan. And it's tough. Okay? Like you're already playing in Buffalo. So you are just not really set up for success. Everyone has kind of thought that they were getting over the hump, getting over this playoff drought. And unfortunately, that just has not happened. But Dylan Cozens, I thought, was going to be part of Buffalo's long term plan. Had a fantastic season. Let's see. Sorry, 2 years ago here with 68 points. He had 31 goals. And then last year, he did see a decrease in production with 18 goals, 29 assists, 47 points. So just almost like a 20-point drop off there. And when I was looking at this, I immediately thought of Andrew Mangiapane. I think the biggest difference here is that Mangiapane wasn't tied up in a long-term contract after that 1 year. He signed, what was it, a 2-3 year extension, and it was $5.9 million, but it wasn't for a long time. And that's why it was kind of, I think, a little bit easier to move as well. But the Flames really don't need another long-term contract. And I think that that would be very, I don't want to say detrimental to their plan, but I do think that it's probably not the best idea for them to do that. So I have pulled up the hockey reference page for Dylan Cozens here, 23 years old. That I like. That is great. We do need young players. However, $7.1 million cap hit for the next 6 years. That is something that I am not a fan of. Obviously, you have this decrease in production. You have 13. So, first year, he played 41 games, had 13 points, 4 goals. He had 13 goals the following season with 38 points. And then the following year was his big 31 goal season. And last year, he scored 18. His one thing that Joe DiBiase pointed out on Locked On Sabres was his lack of shooting. And I think a lot of that it is something that the Flames are not unfamiliar with. They love to pass, and it's tough. Like sometimes you literally just need to shoot the puck. That is the main premise of hockey. You shoot the puck to get the puck in the net, right? Everyone is fully aware of that. But there's mention of him losing confidence. And we've talked a lot about that with Rasmus Andersson. Rasmus Andersson last season was coming back from an accident that severely injured him. And he just was not, he was not shooting as often as you were used to. And there's been a decrease in Dylan Cozens' shooting percentage as well. He went from let me try to find this here. He was at a 14.7. So almost a 15% to 9. And this year, through 6 games, he has 1 point, and it's an assist. He has a 0 shooting percentage, which is not good. That's not good. Is this a matter of him needing a change of scenery, or is he just not confident and he's not necessarily going to find that confidence in a new place? I think it's absurd for the Flames to chase that kind of term contract wise. I just, especially like free agency, right? They said we're not doing long-term contracts, shorter term deals. They gave Igor 5 games. 5 games, 5 years. And he hasn't even played a single game this season. This could be a tough one. Is this a risk worth taking? Not really giving up a first. Absolutely not. Are you giving up a second? Maybe it's the second that Washington gave you for Mangiapane. I don't know. And he does have a 5-team no trade clause in 3 years. So maybe Buffalo is kind of trying to move him while they still have the full autonomy to do so. And that, or they could just not be trying to do this at all. And fans are fans and just not happy with how Cozens is performing. I'm not against guys needing a change of scenery. However, I don't like the term. I just don't. 7 years is a very long time to be locked in for. Ask anyone how they feel about the Jonathan Huberdeau contract, okay? Like, let's be serious here. Obviously, Huberdeau is older than Cozens, but do you really want to take that risk? Because it's not like you can return it to Marshalls. You don't have the receipt. There's no return policy. And it's not necessarily something you can flip. So, I mean, I don't want to say I'm like fully for it or fully against it, because if the professionals are seeing a vision with a player, I almost always can support it and understand and kind of get behind it and like justify it. But I'm just really not feeling this one. So Flames do not need a long-term contract. But he's 23. So that puts him until he's 30. He still has some, I don't want to say, he still has some growing to do. Like, he has the potential to be a 20-plus goal scorer. But is he going to be a 20-plus goal scorer? Will he find his confidence again in Calgary? There are so many what ifs, and I don't know if this is a risk Craig Conroy should want to take. Like I said, I can justify it, but I don't necessarily think that this is a road anyone wants to go down necessarily. But we'll have to wait and see, because I feel like Craig Conroy is not, I haven't really seen, I don't think, anyone else substantiate these claims. So we know that Frank is truly hit or big miss when it comes to the Flames. But coming up next, we're going to talk about one more player that has kind of been thrown around here, as well as just a quick game preview ahead of tomorrow night's game against the Seattle Kraken. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats and view live play-by-play all on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That is FanDuel.com. Last weekend, I got to go see the Flames in Edmonton because of our next sponsor, and that is Game Time. Game Time has this awesome new feature that I took advantage of called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out all of the fluff and gets you the best seats at the best price without having to sift through hundreds to thousands of options. Game Time Picks curation makes it easier for you to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you are following me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto. I did want to talk about Ross Colton for a second because I did talk a little bit too much about Dylan Cozens, but I've seen people mention Ross Colton. The Avs could use a goalie. What do the Flames have? The Flames have Dan Vladar, but this just doesn't really necessarily make sense to me. Number one, who is backing up Dustin Wolf? Where are we going? What is the plan there? Because if you move Vladar, you're opening a whole other can of worms. And then also cap-wise, I think it's fine. He makes $4 million, I think, for the next 2 years, but he's 27, 28 years old. That's not a young centerman. Is that a young centerman? No, it's not. So I say that is probably something they can avoid, steer clear of, but let's keep an eye out on Dylan Cozens or maybe other names that come up because there's a whole lot of options out there. But tomorrow night, the Calgary Flames take on the 3-2 Seattle Kraken, who just beat the Flyers 6-4. That is bananas. Obviously, the Flames are 4-0. They have played very well and are looking to continue this success. And obviously, at some point, you have to lose. Every team is going to lose. There's no 82-0 season. Not physically possible. But I do think that the Kraken are a unique team simply because they are in a similar situation to the Flames where like they really don't have like a star goaltender like ready at like truly at the ready to take on 40 to 50 game workload. And they have young talented guys, but are any of them really him? Matty Beniers obviously signed that 7-year extension over the summer, but like I don't know what's going on with Shane Wright. I feel like I don't want to say he's been set up for failure because that's not true. I don't necessarily think that he is the right fit in Seattle. And hey, if you're a Calgary Flame, you can come back home with us on the plane. That's fine. There's room. We'll make room. No, but in all seriousness, I do think that the Flames are going to have a competitive game tomorrow night against the Kraken because they are always a very physical team with, any Pacific Division rival. But I feel like the Kraken in general is just very volatile is like too strong of a word, but they're definitely a more amped up and ready to go physical team. I think that that's fair to say. I believe Vladar is going to get the start tomorrow, which could be very exciting because he has played well. But Dustin Wolf has also had a few days off. So are we going, like, everyone's had a few days off at this point. So how are we moving forward? But based on practice today, I would say that Vladar is starting. Who do I think is going to score the first goal? I think that Rasmus Anderson is going to score the Flames' first goal. And I think the final score is going to be 3-2 Flames. And I think the other 2 goals are going to come from Anthony Mantha and who else has been playing really well? I will say Blake Coleman. I think that there's a strong possibility there. And if not Blake Coleman, I'll say Andrei Kuzmenko, because he has also been on fire to start the season. Is Jonathan Huberdeau going to continue his point streak? I just can't believe the resurgence that he's having and how fun it's been watching him. This is the Jonathan Huberdeau that Flames fans thought we were getting. So we'll have to see what's cooking there and how long this lasts. But that will do it for me on today's episode of Locked On Flames. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoy your weekend. Have a safe weekend. Have a nice weekend. Enjoy football, hockey, baseball, whatever you're up to. Stay safe, stay warm, stay cool, stay dry, stay hydrated, and remember to be kind and make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames.